Alright, we are back to Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where coincidentally I am also about to catch all of the big fish in England. Incredible to do that in 2 games in 1 day. No, we were not fishing when we left off. We were translating from German, amazingly. The king of Germany is claimed to be unconscious on the couch. Last time I didn't specify, but last time I streamed this, the reason that I stopped in the middle of the deduction thing, is because I had to log on and catch a fish. And I was unsuccessful in catching it, of course, because most of the times you go to catch the fish, you're unsuccessful. So, shall we embark again on a joint presentation of Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular? Hold it, Mr. Holmes. No, King of Germany. See? Says so. Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he is a German, with no grasp of the English language. As evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when asked to desist. Oh, really? The German drinking song they is something they composed for this game, but it actually sounds like it could be an old German song. That's fun. So, why is the man here at all, and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, is Iris. Iris is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. The reason for the man's mildly irritating wobbling is revealed by the herbal tea. So what, it's some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing? Goodness, I should like to try some. And I'd like to hear your singing, but this man... Just how long does he intend to keep up with that tune, do you suppose? As I said, he's been stuck still the entire time, and if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either. Ah. So I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing, but I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Oh. Wait, this is a gramophone, still rarely seen in our own country. The sound certainly appears to be coming from the horn. But machines singing, that can't be right. Phoenix, you're from Japan. Haven't you ever seen Macross Plus? Science and technology are changing the world rapidly, Mr. Naruhodo. What's right is changing too. Ugh, it's too much for my brain. Well, at least we found our answer.
Take that!
The technology hasn't been invented yet to turn the gramophone. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, for no well-bred gentleman would break into an obscure folk song when making a social call. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all. In fact, it would appear that the fellow is unconscious. Ah, the music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Naruhodo, yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Well, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? As it happens, a number of years ago now, a A certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottschriek Sigismund von Ormstein, the King of Germany. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question that mask belongs to the King of Germany. Although we've already established... Oh, no, it's him. Although we've already established that it was actually the King of Bohemia, it seems Mr. Sholmes intends to persist with his Germany theory for some reason. Come to think of it, the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotz? The boy whom you had in tears? Don't remind me. Don't bully me either. Do you suppose all members of the aristocracy in mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do. Well, probably, anyway. Nobody knows. The point is, that mask doesn't belong to any king. No, that's right, as we well know. Because we can identify the true owner of this mask.
Take that!
Yes, there can be no question that mask belongs to Kazuma Asugi. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could try to make that sound positive. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on this metal chest for several days, though that doesn't explain why the gentleman is wearing it now. But it is now a simple matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We need only excuse ourselves in advance, gently lift the mask, and peer beneath it. Peter Parker! I don't believe it. Ah! Father! I am afraid, Mr. Sato, you must be No, I think not, Mr. Sholmes. Then it would appear our logic and reasoning has once again revealed the truth. This mysterious visitor is my unconscious father, Eugene Mikotoba. Logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying, and not having prosopagnosia. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. Prosopagese? Oh. Yesia, I see. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. So that's a 5-pound note poking out from Iris's knapsack, is it? Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money that we encounter is in coin form. I know. I'm not even sure if we've seen any banknotes here in Britain at all, have we? But anyway, Father would never have paid money for Iris's silence. Certainly seems like the silent type himself, though. Alright, later, Serp. Good luck. Good luck with your everything. There must be some other reason for Iris's silence, I suppose. Perhaps what Iris is trying so hard not to give away with her eyes is something entirely different. It's in her mouth. It's in her mouth. Is it not? It's in your mouth. Spit it out. So what are we doing? I can't move the camera any more than this. Oh, this is unlocked. This metal chest, it contains important documents, doesn't it? Yes. Details of all the cases Mr. Sholmes has worked on over the years, written up by Iris's father, if I'm remembering correctly. Iris insists that the chest is kept locked at all times. She's never once shown me inside. Well, its contents are invaluable to her, I suppose, and entirely irreplaceable. But look at it now. The catch is unlocked for once. Ah, so it is. That's hard to ignore. Very. I've never seen that chest unlocked before, and all the time we've been staying here at Baker Street.
Take that!
Okay, in her mouth would have also been successful. She has something in her mouth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation, for upon close inspection, there's something different about the chest's appearance. It's kept locked at all times, yet now the catch is open. Evidently, this has something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. But it is a simple enough matter to incite you to speak, I'm sure. I merely need open this chest. Wait, why did it say that Ryusuke said that? Here we go. No, Harley, don't. Mr. Sholmes, Hurley! He's dead. Never! Oh, Hurley, I told you not to open it. Ah, so you found your voice now, Iris? Ah! In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is... This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform with Mr. Sholmes, isn't it? Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm going to have to dance this next part solo. Unfortunately, guilty feet have got no rhythm, and I am a lawyer, and this is a law metaphor. And anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this for my own peace of mind. Now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, so... You mean you don't actually know the answer yet, despite that knowing point of the finger before? I get it. No, it wasn't. It said what was the reason for her silence is concealed inside of her mouth. Sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think later. Oh, well, if you say so. I think we'd better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then. Oh, the real reason! The real reason for her silence? The real one? It's still not her mouth? What's going on? That's a key she's holding, look. Sure that wasn't in her hands before, was it? No, you're quite right. It was concealed in her mouth and was the real reason she was mute. That's strange, a big ol' iron key. Where did it materialize from? The stork.
Take that!
No, not the stork. The claviger. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. Ah, when Mr. Sholmes was thrown into the air before... Just before you called out to try to stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. That something is the key now in your hands. No doubt the key to the chest. You're so clever, Runo. So now it becomes clear. You're going to jail. Thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration, we can well imagine what happened here. But... Professor Mikotoba also opened that metal chest, only to be punched into the air. And land sprawled on the settee. But wait, that doesn't explain all the facts. What about the stylish scarf and the cup of tea? And above all, why would he be wearing Kazuma-sama's mask? Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly, an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. He's wrong. The miracle never happened. Isn't that right, Iris? Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. When Professor Mikotoba opened the chest, completely unaware of what waited him inside, the mask was flung into the air just as he was, only to land neatly on his face when it fell back down, and the teacup's journey through the air ended when it caught on the unconscious professor's unlikely finger. You mean to say that the stylish scarf is actually just a tablecloth? This is the great detective's office, after all, a place of miraculous deductions. Would you expect anything less? Yes, you're right. It happened exactly as you said. Brilliant, Runo. Thus concludes Ryunosuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. Nozomi no punch! So then, why don't I make a fresh pot of tea for us all? Wait, Nozomi? Did I make that up? What's puzzle?
Objection!
An admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo. But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. What? Are we still inside the Infinite Tsukuyomi? What is this? Mr. Shaw, if you would cast your mind back to my earlier deduction. Iris, clearly, you're hiding a great secret. She is, from the look on her face. Mr. Sholmes must be right. Whatever that great secret is, the cat isn't out of her mouth yet. So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. It really is a shame about Mr. Holmes's cup. Sholmes's cup. It must have been smashed when Professor Mikotoba opened the chest. Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here. But now that the deduction has taken a different direction, Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore. In other words, her great secret is something else. Let's put our observational skills to work here one final time, then. It's underneath! I was right. I'm always right. Ah, look! There seem to be more... Oh, no, that's him. Also, what did we do? Get on our hands and knees? Look, there seem to be more paper. Again, that was him. There seem to be more papers there. Is Iris trying to hide them underneath the tray? The insignia, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an official Scotland Yard document. What? But why would Iris have... We must ask her. An official Scotland Yard document?
Take that!
You are attempting to abscond with that case file. Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective. Oh no! We visited Scotland Yard's autopsy lab earlier today, and Dr. Gorey informed us that the autopsy report of Clint Von Zieks had gone missing. Clint Von Zieks? Yes, I do seem to recall that some years ago, I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? And she had just maxed out her pickpocket skill. You mean it was you, Iris? So those papers you have there are... I'm sorry. Forgive me! Oh, I'll forgive you, alright. In jail? Just Where are you going? Fish complete. Big fish log complete. In truth, I would like to have thought I could have predicted the booby-trap chest. But it caught me completely off guard. I was very nearly the late consulting detective Sherlock Holmes. Ugh, I'm sorry, Hurley. So you mean this autopsy report really is? Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important. Was there something in it that troubled you, Iris? Not exactly something that troubled me. Something I'd been looking for. When I saw this report, when I saw the writing in it, I knew it was Daddy's. The writing? Your father's writing? What do you really mean? Iris? It must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes, what is it? I feel as though the poor and unconscious gentleman on the settee has been somewhat forgotten. Father! Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Would you be so kind as to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll help you carry him up. So will I. No, I can manage alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris's brew to stew. Stew. Because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like a trunk. I wonder, perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Sholmes is making himself scarce to give Iris the chance to talk more freely. We must use this opportunity to talk with Iris and find out what's going on. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father? I'm sure I told you before, but I am blind. No. Daddy used to be Hurley's partner. Yes. And that notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest. That's right. Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet. That's one way of describing it. Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like. Well, that's only natural. You're just like any other girl of your age. Not special. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree too. Well, that's only natural, I suppose. In that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though. But there was one thing that I could never find out. Daddy's name. Ah. His name wasn't anywhere on any of the notes that I've made about his work with Hurley. But then one day... That's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right? Yes. So it was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye. Is it going to be the guy who died in Japan? His name is John Wilson, or John H. Wilson, but that's not her father's real name? That'd be interesting. It turns out her father's real name is Moriarty, and that's bait for the sequel. Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 3.5 and a 2. When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself. Because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes? Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that was the first and last time we'd be allowed to even look at it there. So you decided to steal it, and nobody figured out that it was you. They're like, man, just before it went missing, there was a little girl in there who asked if she could take it with her. I told her no, and then it just mysteriously disappeared. When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of the autopsy report read Dr. John H. Wilson. Ah, it's an anagram. So that's how I finally found out. I learned Daddy's name at last. I see. Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. Tell me, did your father have any identical twins? I decided then and there that I'd write the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea the stories had quite such a deep personal significance for you. I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. Oh, is that Sholmes? Probably. I must apologize, Iris. Yes. This is really all my fault. Hurley? I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right... How am I this fine evening? I'm pretty good. You missed the first half of the stream where we were playing some Final Fantasy XIV, and I hit 22,000 achievement points. It was exciting. That I would keep the details of your father a secret. I know, I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report back to Dr. Gorey and apologize, I promise. Yes, we'll go together, I think. Then let me look after it for you until we get there. Booty-doo-boo. I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see you all later. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still. Wait a minute, can't they just leave the herbs out in the fog of London and they'll get water from that? What? How? What's the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? Oh, dear me. So, you've noticed, I see. But that would mean... What on earth's the matter, Miss Susato? You've turned as white as a sheet. Oh, I misread that. I thought you were saying that your ram sticks broke me. Like that I was snapped in half using your ram sticks. But no, you meant your ram sticks broke. That's unfortunate. I looked over there thinking that my broken RAM from my computer that I put together 3 years ago would still be there on my desk. And is it? Is it actually under the pile of napkins? No. Is it? Because I have a feeling if it was anywhere, it would be right there. For what reason, I don't know. It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo, the one from 10 years ago. The writing isn't Dr. Wilson's at all. Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? Because I know this writing very well. This writing. It's my father's. Nani? Professor Mikotoba's? It's either the RAM or the motherboard. Both of those, well, I mean, I guess the motherboard being bad is worse. But yeah, there's really no way to find out without testing. Indeed, it's true. And now you know, my dear fellows. No, I don't know anything. What on earth does all of this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly forming in my mind, he's a little slow on the draw. It's just too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. Oh, so it's just one or two. Okay. Some sticks or slots are better. Oh, well then, yeah, I guess you can test the RAM that way, right? You could just take out the RAM that's working and put in the other RAM, and if it works, then it must be the slots. So, this autopsy report is actually penned by Professor Mikotoba, then? But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely? Possible? My dear fellow, pray, take a deep breath. Think again. Yes, you're right. In some ways. It actually makes a great deal of sense. It does? 10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. I think that's normal. I think one of the slots is, like, the important slot that you can't have empty. Although that might vary from motherboard to motherboard. It might also have stopped being true several years ago, and also I never learned how to put together a computer. Just look at what happened to me in 2019. Don't take any advice from me. And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Of course, he was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory, learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which be assembled into the full autopsy report. Oh, 2019. Oh, people heard nothing but that story. In April, I put together a new computer, and I didn't have it working until August. It was awful. It was that whole summer, that whole spring and summer, I was constantly like switching computers out. Like I had both computers and I would like switch from one to the other in order to like stream, because I would try. The problems with it were so impossible to track down. I'm not even gonna go through the list of everything I replaced. If a computer has it, I replaced it. I was literally down to the point where I had almost built a second new computer. The final thing that I wound up replacing was, if I remember correctly, it was actually the hard drive, or it was the solid state drive. I went from using an M2 back to using a regular solid state drive, and then the problems cleared up. But there were so many. It couldn't have been the hard drive the whole time. I'm really convinced that it was more than one component was wrong. I replaced the I replaced the PSU, and the new PSU that I put in died on the first day. If you go back, what games would I have been? I guess if you just go on my channel and you go back like 3 years and watch any of the stuff that I played between April and August, every stream starts with me complaining about not being able to like get stuff working with the computer. Oh, it was awful. Actually, I know what I was playing. I was playing Quern Undying Thoughts, because I actually did lose some of my footage. Like, one of the times that I went to start my computer, that was what clued me into maybe I should replace the hard drive, is that, it's basically it got corrupted, I think. Something happened. Many awful things happened. Whew. And that was 3 years ago, and I'm gonna have to someday upgrade this computer, right? Like, I might legitimately just buy a computer next time I need a new computer. It really had, like, it turned into such a nightmare. The crazy client, you're still using the LAN case, the case from decades ago? That's impressive. I guess whenever I build a new computer, I always do something with the old one, so I've never kept a case. That is interesting. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document. In other words, the only writing of Dr. Wilson's in the report would be his signature at the end. I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John Wilson. Which is very understandable, of course. What a complicated situation. Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. Yes, the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade, and the only person I could truly have called a friend. And did this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madame. Absolutely. So, where's your partner now? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, if that autopsy report was written, though not signed, by your famous partner, there would only be one logical conclusion. Iris is half Japanese. Pray, impress me. Your partner would have to be Yujin Mikotoba. In other words, Miss Susato's father. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say? Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Professor Mikotoba! Does this mean you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear. I'm still my old self, Yuji Mikotoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Susato-san to take in. I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Pray remind me, when was it again, Mikotoba? You just said you remembered. 16 years ago, Sholmes. Ah, yes, quite. 16 years ago. I just arrived from Japan with Seishiro and Genshin. I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital, some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are devilishly high in that particular area, owing to the number of windows. That's right. So I decided I needed someone to share lodgings and the expense. It was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for little gain. And the situation of our cohabitation led to us pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe it was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikotoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous of cases presented itself. The case with which you've become rather familiar yourselves, the Professor killings. After the trial, Seshiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising, given the circumstances. So there you have it. And as you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikotoba really is Mr. Sholmes' famous partner. What a twist. Father. Goodness, my dear, what a cutting look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now. And that is? You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris's father. Ah, of course, I'd almost forgotten about that one. I should have seen this coming, I suppose. Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures are in that metal chest were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sholmes? That is indeed what I told young Iris. But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, Father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris's father must be you. Ah. Upon my word, Miss Susato. You are coming along wonderfully as well. You, too, have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasp the art of deduction. What you always told me, Father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago, and you left me in grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain, and I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris. Oh, there it is, Susato-san's ice-cold stare. Give him the Tsun eyes. No, hold on a minute. My Facebook status was very complicated. I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is. There it is, now the eyes go from ice-cold to red-hot, just before she... No, really, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Sholmes, say something, man. That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes, when did he get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mikotoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. But it's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go? To the pawn shop. Why, my dear madame, is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikotoba. The game is afoot. But Sholmes, I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow, later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really, I visit our home after 10 long years. When I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. As if that wasn't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I'm plunged straight into all of this. Father, please. Go with Mr. Sholmes now, but, say one sentence on the way out. It can't be that big of an explanation. I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interests. I trust you completely. That's a mistake. Susato. And sending the great detective and his great partner off on renewed adventures together is more than I could have hoped for in my wildest dreams. Very well, then. We'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. Yes, Naruhodo, good luck in battle. And in reaching a decision. A decision? About whether to go back to Japan, I suppose.
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself.
I know, right? Every single big fish in the whole game. Except for Endwalker.
It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed
Chaos.
were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth, and that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the
Big old
resolve
Cooler Master. Do I have a Cooler Master
everything
case?
through.
I don't know what this case is. I suspect it's Cooler Master. That's a large case. Heavy. Wait, that's the end of the chapter? That's the end of the... It didn't say to be continued. But the case... Hold on. We still didn't find... This is a first for the whole series. They've never had a trial where they said the trial is 2 chapters long.